With the yo-ho-ho, it's TaleOfTheToaster. Welcome to some more Inazuma 11 Aries thoughts, and this is a big one. I've been waiting all season long to talk about this set of matches. This is probably, to just roll right in with it, probably my favourite parts of the whole season. I'm not going to say favourite episode, but like the next maybe 3 or so is going to be most likely my favourite arc, and there is going to be so much to go over. But this is where we take on Alia Academy, and before we can really talk about it, there's a couple things to clear up. I mean, I'm sure that a lot of you down in the comments will already be aware, but I'll try and keep this brief for anyone who might be uninitiated. So when I say Alia Academy, that is a dub name, but when I say Alia, I think what comes to mind for a lot of people would be Eisei Gakuen, the Japanese name for the Season 2 villains of aliens just destroying Raimon's school and whatnot. And this is related, but it's quite funny how the names match up for the villainous team in Season 2 along with this team in Aries, because the whole point of Aries was to say, what if that whole villainous attack from Astrum Schiller and his Alius Academy bunch never happened? Sure, in the previous match we got to see Aiden Frost still being alive, and that changed a couple of things, but this is the real point of diversion. Just straight up, the villains that made Season 2 happen never did anything in this time, and as a result, this group of so-called aliens, who are spoilers for Season 2 that's been out for like 10 years, this just group of orphans who got tucked in by a rich man, are not going to be football super soldiers. They're just going to be children playing football in a tournament. That's all you really need to worry about. He's still rich, and I'm sure maybe he's committing some more gentle crimes like tax fraud behind the scenes, but we'll just treat him as a good guy unless proven otherwise. In this timeline anyway, you can't judge someone based on what they did in an entirely parallel universe, right? But yeah, there's kind of 4 names for this bunch, and it's very confusing, because let's get some directions going on here. Okay, this side is dub, and then this side is Japanese, this side is bad guys, this side is good guys, right? So we've got dub good, which is down there. I've messed up already, haven't I? Right, dub bad Alius Academy, sub bad Eisei Gakuen, good dub Alia Academy, so the same name as here but with a different spelling, and then the most different of them all, sub-good team, is called Eisei Gakuen. So if you were watching this in Japanese, then you could clearly tell the difference between Alia Gakuen and Eisei Gakuen. Whereas over here, if we're going from Alias to Alia, it just kind of sounds like an error that happens to match up with the Japanese name for the bad guys. But that is enough of that. There will be more to clear up about the actual players involved, but we'll give you a little bit of a break from that, eh? The episode starts with Cliff and Nino having a talk about how he's just pulled off Poison Toad in the last match and all that, but seeing Nino without the ninja headwear on, it's like seeing a different character entirely. I'm glad they put this in. It's not like a big detail or anything, just you needed to see what this looked like. Carry on. Because, okay, we're not even a minute into the episode at this point, but the thing I've been waiting for. Most of you who've seen this video have probably already seen my top 100 Inazuma 11 characters, or at least have watched my videos long enough to know that my favourite character in the series is Jordan Greenway. Let's get a prop. The episode is 53 seconds into the episode. My boy gets his line. Jordan Greenway has a speaking role, and this is just what I've been waiting for in watching Aries. I put it off for many years to try and see if I could play it as a video game, but eventually, if any one thing was going to drive me to say, yeah, you need to watch this, it's knowing that there was exclusive Jordan Greenway content that I hadn't seen yet. And finally, he gets his first line, and I'm not going to lie, he just sounds like a girl, and he's already called Jordan and has a green ponytail. If anyone started with this season, then I really wouldn't blame them for not knowing that he's a guy, bless him, but he could say anything and I would smile. Like, he's past that point as a favourite character where he could probably do anything. Like, for example, smashing up someone's school and obliterating it, which he doesn't do in this series, but he has kind of done it again, not judging on other timelines, right? Still applies to the old one, but the point is, he's here, and I'm very happy to see him alongside all of the other great Alius Academy players. Like, we've got Dave Quagmire here as a cool guy. He's got a very exaggerated voice here as well. Just getting a chance to see Bellatrix at all when she's not being a villain. She never got that opportunity because she wasn't really in like Neo National or anything like that. Some down-to-earth Bellatrix content is appreciated, even though there's not really much, I must admit. But the main thing comes down to Clarification Corner once again, because we've got these two. I really do wish that I had a Jordan 11 license to go with it, but we've got, in Japanese, Kira Hiroto, whoa, and we've got Tatsuya Kiyama. Oh, two very different names, right? How could you possibly get these confused? Oh, Inazuma 11, you really don't make things easy for me, do you? So let's make this quick, because I think most of you are already aware, but this guy, red hair, captain of the team, in the original trilogy he was called Xavier Foster, but through adoption became Xavier Schiller, because he looked like the main villain's dead son. In this timeline, the main villain's dead son looks like this. And so he is actually called Xavier Schiller because he is Xavier Schiller. So this guy wasn't even good enough to be his faker, except he's actually very good. But yeah, so these reviews are going to be a tad challenging for me, because when I see this face, I think Xavier, because that's how it's been for years. And even if you're using Japanese names, you know, they're both still Hiroto, just one is Kiyama and the other is Kira. They've at least got that differentiating factor. It's only slight, but I suppose when you realise that Hunter Foster, his surname is a pun about being a foster child, you realise, yeah, let's just stick with Schiller in general. That's a terrible joke. That's very poor taste. But anyway, so episode starts and love this guy, like he's chatting with Jordan, just being his mate, and then this one, new Xavier, is like, I'm gonna kick the ball straight into these guys' face to establish myself as a dislikable character. Obviously, I'm sure we're gonna grow to like him, but he's definitely the cocky Caleb 2 kind of character for this scenario. And you know, much as Hunter does this really nice quick move to kick the ball straight out of poor old Jordan's face that it's flying towards, I really wanted to get a good screenshot for this review of my guy, the lovely Hunter, protecting my favourite character, Jordan. Let's just keep cycling the props until I've used them all. As soon as I went to get a screenshot, though, I got this most terrible smear frame, and it's like, shouldn't have bothered, eh? But yes, so that's your little introduction to them, I guess. Grey-haired Xavier is going to be a bit of a rough guy. I wanted to talk about his design a little bit, actually. Let's just flash up the proper image instead. But that is a very over-the-top design, huh? I must admit, I wasn't really taken by it. It does mess with the canon a little bit. Like, here's another picture. This is what the real Xavier was meant to look like in the original timeline when he's in one little flashback scene. Obviously, he's got red hair. He looks like Hunter. The whole reason that Hunter became Xavier Schiller is because he resembled the dead kid, and that's why Astron really liked him. Whereas here, you know, fair enough, he's an edgy guy, so he would probably just dye his hair and style it like this on his own account to differentiate himself. But we do get some flashbacks later in this episode as well, and he still has grey hair even as a child, so it's like, did he forget that part? I know you can't just have them look identical unless you're Captain Tsubasa and you've got the two twins that I still don't know how to differentiate between. But anyway, so one is Hunter, one is Xavier. Let's talk about the rest of the episode. So this Xavier guy, he's technically the top goal scorer for the whole tournament so far. He's got the most goals, but apparently it's a bit of an exaggerated stat because he just scored like over 10 against two very weak teams that he just wanted to take the mickey out of. So fair play to that. Just this seems to be his thing. Like, he's clearly got issues at the moment with Hunter, and they can't seem to get along, even though Hunter is trying his best. But they have this line, right? And so what? Hunter's trying to get Xavier to play in the next match against Raimon that for some reason he doesn't want to do. And what he says is, "I don't like your eyes that despise me." Through a very good voice, by the way, and also Hunter is another Nate Wants to Battle member of the cast. So the voices here are excellent along, well, I suppose Jordan's a bit too feminine and Dave is a bit over the top, but the two Xaviers, spot on. But this line about, "Your eyes, I don't like them," which he says to Hunter, who has the most perfect eyes, and it's a very erroneous statement. But what I was actually thinking of is Torch over here, because he's just standing next to Jordan, and like, you notice, what happened here? They've totally changed his eyes, or have they? Because I did some digging on this. It caught me really off guard when I started watching Aries for the first time. I'm like, why did they decide to do this? Because in the anime, Torch always looked like this in the original timeline. Just normal eyes, as you would expect. And in the games, you couldn't really tell. Certainly his 3D model didn't have anything special going on. But if you look at the game art for Inazuma 2, his official headshot, it has actually always been there. It's just never really gotten incorporated into the anime until now, where they've gone full on with the lightning bolt eyes, and it's a bit jarring, as if this team isn't already jarring enough to describe on their differences from how they used to be. But I kind of like it, but it's also, I don't feel like I could make eye contact with this guy. Gazelle's on the team as well, but I'll be honest, he doesn't get to do a whole lot. But at least Torch and Gazelle are here. So most of this episode is actually just character building between Hunter and Xavier, and I'm not going to go into great detail on it because it's all just, objectively very good. Like, Xavier being the birth son is envious of his dad putting a load of focus on Hunter, just one of the kids he's technically adopted alongside everyone else in Alia, whereas Hunter, meanwhile, he knows how much Xavier is cared for by his actual father, but they just don't see eye to eye. So it's about clearing that up, and I don't really need to explain it here because you can just watch the episode and see how well it's been done. But although I don't have anything to add, it's just really, really good, and it's already making this one of my favourite episodes because I love both of these characters, and especially all the supporting ones in the background as well. So just know it's good. We'll leave it at that, really, because there is also a match to start in this episode, as though there wasn't already enough. The last thing they try to get out of the way before we actually go to the match is they kind of do what I did in the previous episode thoughts and look around everyone on the actual Raimon squad and say, who doesn't have a move yet? Adriano and Maxim, you don't have moves yet. I skipped over Cesar because I guess he's technically part of Gravity Cage. I would have thought he was a bit of a priority, but Maxim definitely needs something. I have made no shortage of saying that the captain of Raimon has done next to nothing in this season. And then Adriano, it kind of makes sense because we know he's all building up to Fire Lemonade, but Mr. Yi wants to make them do a two-person shot, so alright, bring it on. So we get to see the sponsor sequence for Alia Academy, and this just warms my heart. It's for some, travel agency, I guess, called Alien. Very subtle there in Inazuma. Wow, the former aliens are going to be sponsored by Alien. It's not like they're called Alia Academy, but it's just so good to look at because they're all in holiday gear, and my guy Jordan just goes down to the South Pole in a full parka to play football in front of some penguins, and I'm like, I just had to stop watching the episode and add that to the library of heartwarming Jordan imagery. This is, that made my day when I saw that. But obviously, the main point of the sponsorship scenes is to kind of establish the formation of everyone who's on the squad, and then that kind of gives you the chance to look at it properly and think, who is actually going to be representing everyone from Gemini Storm and Epsilon and the Genesis and Chaos, which is made up of both Prominence and Diamond Dust. The Robot Guards, do they count? The representation is good, but it's a little bit off. So for Gemini Storm, you have just one, and that would be Jordan once again. I kind of get it because they are the lowest ranked team, and looking at their designs, they're the most visibly alien-like. They would be the hardest to humanize out of everybody, so it is a shame that Gemini Storm only has one rep. Maybe even just put Galileo on the bench as your substitute goalkeeper, much as it should be Nero. But yeah, it's a bit sad, but at least they picked the best one. Then Epsilon has only 2 reps, so it's a little better than 1, but also that second rep is going to be on the bench the entire time, I think. They've got Zeke. Is that his name? I may be thinking of Xenoblade Chronicles 2, but there he is anyway. And then as the main goalkeeper for the squad, we've got Dave Quagmire, and yes, I'm glad that he will be in goal because he's played in all kinds of positions throughout his storied career, but this is where we wanted to see him, and he will be there. Then Genesis, obviously you've got the captain, Hunter. Bellatrix is there as well. But then that's kinda it. And it's weird because that's basically the final boss of Season 2. It's actually Dark Emperors, but that always felt more of a bonus. Gemini were your real... Gemini? Genesis, that was your final challenge as such. So the fact that they've only really got 2 players on the entire Alia Academy roster, that's not a lot to say that they're the main deal. You know, again, you could just stick Nero on the bench even if he doesn't have to do anything. But instead, the majority of the team is made up from Prominence and Diamond Dust players, or Chaos combined. You've got Torch and Gazelle, who you would expect to be there, but then pretty much the entire layout of defenders for Alia Academy is just 100% Chaos players. And there's some good choices, like Claire LeSnow, or Clear. She's a brilliant pick to have on there that I was very happy to see in Ares. Then they've also got like Ganymede, who's the one guy here who still visibly looks like an alien. And I'm thinking, you could have maybe just picked somebody else, whether they look like an alien or not, just represent another team. I would say probably the best choice here would maybe be Zohan from Genesis, because it's another Genesis rep. They kind of deserve the third. But he was also on Neo National as a defender, so it's a little bit puzzling that they didn't go with that one. But yeah, so there's... I guess it kind of works out like Chaos has the most players, but they're also going to do the least in the match. Like, I'm not making any spoilers to say that Torch and Gazelle get somewhat overshadowed in this one. But yeah, I think the balance could have been better, but it's still a good lineup, and it's building up what could be my favourite team of the season. Alpine weren't quite up to scratch, so Alia, there is an open space for you guys. You've never been a united team before, but now, oh man, S tier's looking kind of comfortable right now. But I almost kind of want to speed through this match because it's only over the course of 5 or 6 minutes, and what we see is really good fun football, and it's very unpredictable and exciting. But it's at breakneck pace. It's like the Zeus match, but it doesn't know when to stop, and it just keeps going. The match, within the first minute, Raimon immediately go for a shot on Dave Quagmire, who stops it with the brand new rendition of Wormhole, and it just looks amazing. Like, the ball doesn't bury into the ground quite as visibly as it used to, but it's such a... This has always been one of my favourite goalkeeping moves, definitely an S tier shout. So to see it in HD 2018 style, oh, I was so happy. It just I popped off as soon as Dave stopped the ball. But he doesn't stop it a second time, because it actually, very unexpectedly, goes 1-0 in Raimon's favour at the start. The last 2 matches, both Zeus and Alpine got the first goals, but not here. Alia, who doesn't even have Xavier playing for them at the moment, oops, I should have mentioned that before, they do something really tricky. Like, Dave Quagmire's very egotistical about using Wormhole, so Cesar passes to Basil, and then Basil's like, oh, I'm going to do Fire Tornado. Actually just passes to Sonny, and he just kicks it in. It just totally deceives Dave, and it's like, well, we've got a goal in like 50 seconds here, but I enjoy this. But it just doesn't stop there, because this guy, Hunter, just immediately goes for his own shot, and it's Meteor Blade. So we've waited to see Wormhole. I'm still waiting to see Astro Break, but Meteor Blade has always been one of the most famous moves in the series history, I think it's fair to say, or Ryusei Blade. And in Aries, it looks okay. I don't think this is just my opinion here. I've seen a lot of people saying they weren't too happy with how Ryusei Blade, Meteor Blade turned out in Aries, but it's very blue and it's very yellow. It's a lot thinner, narrower trajectory. It looks nice. If it was a brand new move that looked like that, I think we'd all be quite happy with it. But knowing that it's Meteor Blade, I obviously like it when Aries is willing to change moves up, like Patriot Shoot, for example, and Wrath Shot. Those new versions were way improved on how they used to be. Meteor Blade, it's the same motions, just with a very different style, and I think we're too used at this point to the original one to properly appreciate this one. But it scores, so it's 1-1. Sandra didn't even get a chance. Things just get even weirder, because then Trevor, from the defensive position, he goes for a sparky spin, dribbles up the pitch, passes to Valentine, the midfielder, and he just scores a regular goal on Dave Quagmire, and it's like, what's going on? The match started like 3 minutes ago, and it's 2-1 in Raimon's favour. Like, some of the matches would end with that scoreline. How high is this gonna go? And why is Dave Quagmire just letting another one in that easily? I don't understand this, but well done to Valentine for getting a goal. Both of the shots have been regular goals so far. It's still so funny though, because Dave just reacts with, "That's not bad, but not good enough," after he's just let one through, and you know, Aurelia's seeing this and being like, he doesn't get discouraged, does he? I love this about Dave. He's not got to be boastful as an alien. He's just got to be boastful as a human now, even when it's totally unwarranted. I'm starting to like this guy a lot more than I used to from the original trilogy, even if he's just kind of being a bad goalkeeper at the moment. But if it's 2-1 to Raimon, let's just make it 2-2, because it's finally time for what I've been waiting for long before I was able to actually watch Aries. I could even see just videos on YouTube showing comparisons of old Hisatsu techniques to new ones, and they must have known I was looking forward to it, because the thumbnail for that was Astro Break. I've been waiting years to see HD Astro Break, and here it is. Jordan goes for a goal, and it's just amazing. Like, Wormhole looks great, Meteor Blade is okay, and then Astro Break is just everything I could want and more. It's so big, it's so grand. Jordan actually lands on it now, and just, it could have looked exactly the same and I would have been utterly delighted, because it's my guy just scoring a goal with his move. Does indeed go in against Sandra, despite getting Mermaid's Veil in the previous episode. Has not even attempted a special move yet at all. But Jordan scores a goal and my heart just melts. I must have played that Astro Break about 5 times straight when it first went on. But it's still not over. There's like 1.5 minutes left in the episode, but there is going to be another goal. We're getting a 5th goal in 6 minutes. This match is just on crack. I don't know what's happening. But Dave, having let 2 through, is still being cocky. He's telling his own defenders to just let them take a shot. And this is where Maxim and Adriano's collab shoot is supposed to come in, but, well, it doesn't stay as Adriano for very long. This is the first time we're going to talk about a new move in this match, but once again, it's another one of my favourites. Surprisingly, we're in very high competition, like Wormhole and Astro Break and Meteor Blade are all some of my favourites either, but this actually lives up to that kind of standard somehow. Not many people would agree with me on that. I've seen a lot of people dislike it, but this is fancy footwork, and it's a very Dirty Dancing style reference where the Captain Maxime, we've been waiting to know what his thing was, like he's just a dude with long hair and he's a captain. That's all we know about this guy. Does he have any interests? Is he based on anything? Well, apparently he's a mighty fine dancer, as he goes for a dance with Adriano, but very soon my guy Kiko comes in and steals the spot, and it's like, yes, because this was looking way too awkward before with these two. And Kiko, I called him my favourite at the start of the season on design alone, and then he let me down with his only special move, Twister Trap, being really quite boring. So if he's going to get himself involved in fancy footwork, something I really enjoy, oh yes please. He nicks the shot, they go for a dance, and they just, yeah, it kicks, they do a lovely finishing dancey pose. This would be the thumbnail if I didn't already have to show off Xavier. For Hunter at forefront and centre. Actual Xavier's still not here yet for some reason. He's going to be surprised to know that the scoreline is 3-2. Somehow fancy footwork even injures Hunter when he's trying to block it, and Dave just lets it straight on through. But if you've not seen fancy footwork yet, just look at it. I think it's one of the most beautiful moves I could ask for. It is a shame that the move name is actually no longer completely original. Like when I first found out about this, as far as we were aware, this was the first fancy footwork in Inazuma. In Japanese it's called Flash Dance, which makes sense again. Fancy footwork I liked until we found out that in Go Galaxy, Frank Foreman, his footwork feint kind of thing was actually called fancy footwork first, just with a hyphen in the middle. Thank you to the Portuguese Go Galaxy dub for highlighting that one. But yeah, so it was a little sad when I realised fancy footwork was not even the first fancy footwork in Inazuma. How do we go from 0 to 2 of them in such a short space of time? But yeah, one of my favourite original moves in the entire season. Love it. But thankfully we can call it there, because this was jam-packed and it's probably only going to get even more crazy in the second one. It just kind of ends with Xavier thinking about what Hunter had told him about his relationship with his dad. But maybe next time we'll get to see him on the pitch. I mean, I should hope so, right? That's why they create the new timeline, just to introduce this guy so that he can turn up and then not participate in the match. Yeah, that sounds like a brilliant idea. So we'll see you for that in episode 19. But this really was one of my favourite episodes of the season. I'm just, yeah, completely rewatchable. But bye for now, and up your game, Dave Quagmire. Come on, I'm cheering for you, buddy.